Hey guys, well it's time to do my tips for round 9. The first game we have up is Collingwood against Sydney, which will be held at the MCG on the Friday night with a big game. And the last time they played against each other, it was Sydney getting across the line over the Magpies by 26 points, which was the preliminary final last year. And first time it's defeated Collingwood since 2005, so it's certainly been a long time, and they broke the hoodoo last year. Collingwood have a great record against Sydney in recent times, and that's really demonstrated by the fact that Sydney haven't actually beaten Collingwood at the MCG since 2000, and as I said just before, the last time Sydney actually defeated Collingwood was in 2005. And with this game, Travis Cloke is generally quite a vocal point up forward. He's the main big man out of the two sides, and I reckon if he has a great game, Collingwood should have a great game too and will probably win. In general, Sydney don't like playing at the MCG because, well, they don't win there often, and I say that a bit. It's just a must-win game for Collingwood. They have to back up their good win against Geelong, otherwise, well, if they want to go far in September, they just have to back this one up. But based on recent history, I'm going to go with Collingwood on this one. I'm pretty confident they'll get across the line. I'm going to tip them by 14 points. Geelong go up to Adelaide to play Port Adelaide, which is quite a big game for both sides. Geelong have come off their first loss of the season to Collingwood, and Port have lost their last 3, so both sides will be very keen to get a win. The last time they played against each other was at Simonds Stadium, and Geelong did enough. They got home in the end by 38 points. It's no give-me game really, because Ken Hinkley would know the Cats inside out, no doubt, and that will probably give them an unfair advantage to a degree. But you'd think Geelong would be good enough to get the win, but I'm going to go with the Cats to win by 16 points. GWS host West Coast at Scotus Stadium on the Saturday afternoon. GWS still haven't got a win on the board, and it's quite disappointing for GWS and their fans. West Coast, they've come off 3 wins in a row, so they're on a roll. I'm just almost convinced that whenever Nick Nat is in the side or he plays well, West Coast seem to be pretty competitive. Last time it was the Eagles doing it comfortably over the Giants, winning by 81 points. I don't think they'll have too many issues here, and I reckon West Coast will win by 77 points. St Kilda and the Western Bulldogs played Etihad Stadium on the Saturday, which is going to be a twilight match. St Kilda couldn't back up their great win against Carlton, and the Western Bulldogs were pretty ordinary against Gold Coast, and they also got a loss as well. Last time it was St Kilda winning by 76 points, so they absolutely killed them, and they've been really good against the Dogs in recent times. They've won the last 8 contests, so that certainly gets them pretty confident, I'd think. The last time the Bulldogs actually defeated the Saints was all the way back in 2008, so it's certainly been a long time between drinks. And again, as I say, it's just a must-win for the Saints. You'd think it'd be pretty much in the bag, but it's a no give me. But I'm going to go with the Saints by 35 points. Brisbane host a huge game going up against Carlton at the Gabba on the Saturday night, which will certainly be an interesting contest. Brisbane coming off an impressive upset against Essendon, winning by 10 points. And the Blues have been okay. They've just sort of done enough and been disappointing in leaps and bounds. They recently just defeated Port by 3 goals. Carlton have a bit of a hoodoo over the lines in recent times. They've won the last 4 contests, and the most recent game was the Blues winning by 36 points. If Brisbane can play with the intensity they played against the Bombers last week, I reckon they're a fair chance of getting a win against the Blues. I don't think Carlton have been really convincing recently, to say the least, which doesn't really put them in great stead for this match. It's also at home for Brisbane, at the Gabba. They don't mind playing there. They certainly don't mind a win there, so that really puts them in the box seat to get a win. Knowing my recent form, Brisbane won't be able to back up their win against Essendon, but I'm going to go with them anyway because I think they're a good chance to win. I'm going to go with them by 11 points. Dreamtime at the G is always a big game, and generally always is a good game between Richmond and Essendon. Richmond have won their last 2 games, and what do you know, Essendon have lost their last 2 games, so it'll be interesting to see who's the most competitive and keen for a win. Since the start of 2010, they've traded wins against each other, and Essendon won the Dreamtime at the G game last year, and Richmond won the most recent game, which was by 45 points. So according to the script, Essendon win this game, but I don't think it. I just get the feeling it might not play out that way. I also get the feeling that maybe the ASAD is starting to get to the players. I've had interviews with them recently, and as you can see from their performances the last few weeks, they've just been a little bit off pace, and I think they'll work against them in this game. It's a flip of the coin, this game, and yeah, it always is a flip of the coin. You never know who's going to win this contest. And I'm just going to go with the informed team. I think Richmond will be able to get across the line, but yeah, expect the Bombers to come out firing, but I'm going to go with the Tigers to win by 22 points. On the Sunday, it's Gold Coast up against Hawthorn at the MCG. The last time these sides went head-to-head, it was Hawthorn getting a big win, winning by 64 points. And as you'd imagine, they haven't lost to Gold Coast yet. They've won all 3 games they've played against each other. Gold Coast have won 2 on the trot for the first time in their short history, and Hawthorn have won the last 7, so they've been in really good touch. And I really like Hawthorn here at the MCG. I mean, you wouldn't really tip Gold Coast, but they just look in really good shape, and I think they'll be able to continue their winning streak. I'm going to go with the Hawks by 55 points. Another important game coming up is North Melbourne and Adelaide fighting it out at Etihad Stadium on the Sunday. North Melbourne are 3-5 and probably a bit stiff to be 3-5, and Adelaide are 4-4, so it really is a crunch game for both sides. Adelaide were really good at home last week, getting a 40-point win over the Saints, and the Roos are a bit stiff to lose to the Eagles by 2 points with Nick Nat kicking a goal after the siren. Last time they played against each other, it was North jumping out of the blocks, winning by 32 points, which was at Etihad. And they've also won the last 3 games against the Crows, which have all been at Etihad, and that's where this game has been played at, so they'll definitely work in their favour. I like North Melbourne here. I think they're in a really good position to win this game, mainly because it's at Etihad, and as I say, it's a game they should win. I'm going to tip North to win by 23 points. The last match of the round is Fremantle taking on the Demons at their home turf, Patterson Stadium. Last week, Fremantle had a draw with Sydney, first draw of the year, and Melbourne had a pretty spirited performance against the Tigers, although they couldn't quite get the job done, but it was a good effort nonetheless. And whenever you're playing Freo at Patterson Stadium, you're always in for a tough day or a tough night, whatever the occasion. The last time it was Fremantle getting the job done at Patterson Stadium by 61 points, so pretty easy there. Melbourne haven't even won at Patterson Stadium since 2004, so you don't think they're going to really break the chain this week, especially with the way they've been going recently throughout this year. Fremantle shouldn't have too many worries in this game. I think they'll get across the line and win by 64 points. So those are my tips for round 9, and gee, I must say it's been a horror 2 weeks for me. Well, don't know about everyone else, but yeah, I've tipped a few upsets that haven't quite gone my way, and then I haven't tipped the other upsets that have eventuated. But, you know, that happens. As always, thanks for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys all soon.